And a couple of quick things. I just want to remind you all that you can join me for a retreat and or Gail and I for a retreat. There are a couple spots left in Pie Ranch in our November retreat. And the spring at Sagrada is fabulous. I'm super excited. I'll be heading there again in 2 or 3 weeks for another retreat. But I would love, love, love to have some of you join me in person. The yoga in person is so fabulous. So this is fabulous too. But yoga in person is even more fabulous. And it's a beautiful place to be in nature and soften. So today's theme is about softening. And it's inspired by several things that came up this week. And I've had several clients that I've worked with who this idea of softening is really powerful. And then this morning before this class, I was walking along the beach in San Francisco, and it is very windy this morning. And when you walk into the wind, you resist the wind, and it makes it much harder. And so once again, this idea of softening came up. And so I want to offer it this morning as a way to move forward, different than some of our other approaches. And it's very powerful, in fact, magical, when we find ourselves in resistance and judgment. And so with that introduction, find yourself a comfortable seat wherever you are. If you have a block or a bolster, sit up upon it, move that flesh of your seat and tilt your pelvic bow forward. Stack your spine all the way up through the crown of your head and take in a long, smooth inhale of soft breath. The breath is soft, breathing in the ease of the breath. And a soft exhale, not forced, not pushed, just let it out. And notice for a moment what parts of you are not soft, just drawing your attention to them, taking in another soft, kind, easy inhale, and a soft, easeful exhale. Sending the breath on this next inhale into any spots that don't feel soft. Noticing where they might be. They might be your heart or your head or your belly, or they might be some funny toe. Sending the breath wherever it might be needed. And soften on the exhale. And I invite you to bring a hand to heart to help you soften with kindness and compassion. Softening is not forced. It's this kind, gentle approach to shifting and making change. And bring the other hand atop that hand to heart, sending yourself some warmth and kindness and compassion for whatever perhaps you have not been soft about, whatever you've been resisting, judging, frustrated with, angry about, trying to set boundaries, all of these things. What if you could just soften into all of it? And softening does not require letting go. It does not even require allowing. It doesn't really require accepting. It's just this slight shift. As Shauna Shapiro in my favorite book says, subtle is significant. Softening is subtle. And yet when we soften, our perspective changes. Take in another soft inhale to soften in that spot behind your heart. Perhaps let your heart feel a little bit more full. And a smooth, even exhale. And a pause to reflect on what you might want to, need to, hope to, aspire to soften about in your own life. Taking a moment to reflect. Is something in your body telling you that, or your heart, or right in the solar plexus and your belly area, and noticing what calls out to you as I ask that question. And on the inhale, send soft breath there just to soften it slightly. Knowing that all will not fall apart if you soften. Our brains often tell us if we soften or relax a wee bit, things will fall apart. What if they don't fall apart? What if softening creates space and ease and deeper breaths? Take in a deeper breath here, a long, smooth inhale right into the back base of your lungs, filling them up with breath. Fanning that lower rib cage open, and a long, smooth, but soft exhale. Notice how you feel. And bring hands to heart, palms together, rub them together, finger pads touch, thumbs into your sternum. And take a moment to set an intention around softness, softening. Where might that be helpful in your life? Where might that provide ease or a path forward? Where might it be the crack that lets the light in? What if you just tried it? We'll lower our hands and open our eyes, let the light in, and give yourself a moment to soften and accommodate to the light coming back into your body and your presence back into the room. And take a moment and intentionally soften any muscles that feel tight. Roll your shoulders back 3 times, soften any tightness or any kinks there, and roll them forward 3 times. And soften your resistance to any tightness you find there. Scrunch your shoulders up towards your ears as high as you can. Pinch them high, 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 not at all soft. And intentionally soften. Lower them down, lower your hands. Soften your fingers, wiggle them lightly. And just notice how you feel for a moment. As you soften, you may notice spots that tighten. Take an inhale and send the breath there. Exhale, release and soften into it. Inhale and softly bring both arms up towards the sky. Palms face one another. Wiggle your fingers. Drop your shoulders. Inhale, reach tall, softly towards the sky. Engage your belly, lengthen the side body. Do a little wiggle and a shimmy. Reach tall. Exhale, lower your shoulders. Soften your arms. Soften your elbows. Inhale, reach your fingers tall once again. Interlace your fingers. Flip your palms up towards the sky. Shimmy those side bodies once again, softly, a little lightly. Softening is fun and light and easeful. Reach the palms towards the sky, slight arch back, soft. Exhale, round forward, soften the back, suck your navel all the way back, soften your head and neck, release them forward, press your palms softly towards the front of the mat or the front of the room or the ocean or the palm tree, wherever you might be. Inhale, reach tall, slight arch back, reach those palms towards the sky, elbows come back towards your ears. Exhale, round forward, suck your navel all the way back, press your palms forward. Soft, round, full opening. Soften into every one of those tiny little intercostal spaces, breathing into them, softening those muscle fibers, all the ligaments in there, sending the breath there and softening. Reach tall, slight arch back once again. Exhale, open your arms out towards the side. Flex your wrists, press your palms into the side walls and pinch those scapula tight, tight, tight. With intention, soften in. Notice how amazing softening feels. Once again, pinch your scapula together and soften. Bring your arms around in front, right under left, wrap them, give yourself a huge hug, wiggle your fingers towards the medial edge of the scapula, lift up your elbows softly over your chest if your chest is in the way. Huge, soft inhale here, huge but soft. Exhale, round forward, soften the upper back, soften your head and neck, round your belly, soften everything in your belly with intention. Exhale, lower forward. Huge inhale here as you're folded forward, softening anything that's tight as you're squeezing. And exhale, let it out. Slowly bring your chin up to your chest. Untangle your arms, press them into the side walls. Tighten your scapula, pinch once again. Enjoy the sensations and soften. Wrap your arms softly in the other way. It's a soft hug today. Left under right, wiggle your fingers towards the medial edge of the scapula. Soften any judgment about whether you can't reach or if your chest is in the way. Lift up your elbows. Huge inhale. Exhale, soften forward, drop your chin into your chest, relax your upper back, round your spine, soften your belly back. Huge inhale here, soft into all the spots you notice with the hug, perhaps the lateral edge of the front of your chest. Exhale, let it out. And slowly, softly rise up. Untangle your arms, stretch them wide, lower them down by your side softly. Wiggle your fingers softly and just notice all the shifts and sensations, things waking up in your arms, perhaps. Wiggle those fingers softly, enjoy it. And we'll take out whatever we're sitting on and untangle your legs, reach them forward, straight in front. Move the flesh of your seat out of the way softly with kindness. Flex your ankles and stretch your toes softly with kindness. Not a huge stretch, just a soft stretch. Notice how that feels. Engage your belly, tilt your pelvic bowl forward and stack your spine straight, tall, 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 tall towards the sky. Reach the crown of your head towards the sky. Inhale, sit up tall, fill your chest, open your heart space, softly expand. Exhale, release. Inhale, raise both arms up towards the sky. Exhale, hinge forward at the waist. Spine is still straight. Your knees can be bent or straight, whatever works for you. Hinge forward, flat back. Your heart is shining towards the front. Elbows can bend on your knees if that feels good. Inhale once again. Send the breath into the heart space, softening any tightness there. Your heart is shining forward, light and bright. And exhale, softly relax in a wee bit more. Notice how it feels. Your toes are stretched softly too. Inhale once again into that pocket behind the heart space, giving your heart room to expand. Not forcing it, just creating space for it to fill. Exhale, release, hinge forward a smidge more. Softly, not pushing, not overdoing. Notice that when we move with softness, lots more things happen. Slowly slide up your thighs to your knees, whichever. Hands come to your thighs. Bring your right foot into your left inner thigh. Knee is out perpendicular. Take a moment to move that flesh of the seat out of the way. Stack your sit bones right into the earth. Engage your belly. Sit up tall. Spine is aligned, reaching towards the sky. Each vertebrae one atop the other. With kindness and softness, not standing up tall like perhaps some of your mothers told you, but lining the spine with softness. Alignment is softness. Inhale, both arms up towards the sky. Reach them tall, tall, tall. Twist towards that left foot. Exhale, reach over towards the outer edge of the left foot or ankle, wherever you land. And inhale into the right ribs as they fan open and you fold forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, softly fill every nook and cranny, every muscle fiber. Exhale, fold forward a smidge more, enjoying it. Once again, inhale into all those outer ribs, little muscle fibers, softly creating space. And exhale, let it go. Slowly slide up the left leg. We'll bring the right hand behind the right hip, about 18 inches. Place your palm onto the floor. Drop your left toes towards the right. Lift up into Wild Thing and stretch your left arm over the left ear. Coming into Wild Thing, enjoying that whole left side popping open. Breathe into it. And exhale, release softly. Once again, inhale. And exhale, blow it out softly. Lower your hips down towards the floor. Twist back to center. Stretch both legs long. Even out your hips. Even out. Move the flesh of your seat if need be. And you'll bring your left sole of your foot into your right thigh. Knee is perpendicular. Reorganize your hips with kindness. Find your sit bones, ground into the earth. Engage your belly. Notice your toes on the right foot. Make sure they're pointing towards the sky. Inhale, both arms up. Lengthen your side body. Reach tall, tall, tall. Twist to the right. Exhale, reach over towards the outer edge of the right foot, right ankle. Notice the side may be completely different. Allow your head and neck to soften and lower towards the earth. Inhale into the left rib cage, breathing into it, softly opening it. Not forced, just allowing that softness and spreading. Creating space. Exhale, let it go. Once again, huge inhale. Exhale, fold forward a teensy bit more towards that right knee. Bend the right elbow if that's accessible to you. Wiggle your right toes softly. Slowly slide up the right thigh. Bring your left hand behind the left hip, about 18 inches. Turn your right toes to the left. Pick up your hips. Reach your right arm over the right ear. Extend into Wild Thing. Outer edge of the right foot is on the floor. Right fingers reaching long towards the opposite side. Lengthen the side body. Soften every little tight spot there. With intention, send the breath and softening into everything that's tight. Exhale with ease. Lower your hips, your butt down. Come back to center. Take a moment. Move the flesh of your seat once again. Tilt your pelvic bowl forward. Stack your spine tall, tall, tall. Align. Reach the crown of your head towards the sky. Take your hands, plant them behind you about 6 inches. Tense your fingers, cupcakes underneath. Inhale, puff your chest forward. Heart open, shoulders down and back. Inhale softly. Exhale, everything engaged into Dandasana or staff pose. Notice your toes, spread them wide on the inhale. Exhale, holding everything for a moment. Inhale deeply once again, everything engaged. Heart with intention, open. Exhale, relax and release everything. Soften in for just a moment. Wiggle your ankles, roll them in one direction and then the other. And swing your feet around underneath you. Come to hands and knees. And approach hands and knees softly. Figure out what feels good to you. Make sure there is softness under those knees. And come into tabletop. Find a lovely tabletop where your hands are taking good care of you. Your fingers are spread wide, all 10. Palmar surface of the knuckles is pressing downward, both palms engaged with the earth. Wrists are nicely taken care of. Elbows engaged, humeral heads in the shoulder sockets. And find your belly and connect with it. A beautiful tabletop here. Take an inhale and an exhale in the neutral position. Just pause here. Notice any resistance to not coming into a pose quite yet. Soften your resistance to that. Enjoy just being here for a moment. No rush to move to anything else. Exhale, let it go. One more breath in this tabletop, aligned, taking good care of yourself with ease. Exhale, let it go. Sink your hips back, come into child's pose. The knees will be together on this one. We usually do knees apart. Wiggle your fingers far, far, far in front of you. Hips sink back down and low towards your heels. Wiggle your fingers as far forward as you can. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Lower your forehead towards the floor. If it doesn't reach, you can use a block. I encourage you to connect your forehead or your third eye into the earth. There's much knowing there. Take a moment here to connect to that heart space. With your eyes closed, curled up in this ball, thinking about what you might be resisting, what you might be frustrated about. Where could softening be helpful?
Are you willing to soften? And noticing here in this curled up ball, what parts of your body might still need softening? Is it your feet, your ankles, your fingers? Notice what's itching to wiggle and move. Might be a clue. Huge inhale. And exhale, let it out. One more big inhale, right all the way into that totally squished up belly. Exhale, soften your hips towards your heels. Wiggle your fingers forward another inch or two. Enjoy the stretch in the armpits. Breathe into it, soften it there, into the backs of the shoulders. Exhale, let it go. Slowly come back up to hands and knees. Lower your forearms down to the floor. Curl your toes. We're going to lift up into dolphin pose for fun. Spread your fingers wide, wide, wide. Palms are on the earth. You'll curl your toes and lift your hips right up into dolphin. It's kind of a long dolphin. You can walk your toes a bit towards you if you wish. Notice how it feels in the backs of the legs, just softly. Enjoy it, play with it. 2 breaths here, waking up the shoulders, waking up the backs of the legs. Breathe into it, but for fun. Notice your heart hang against gravity. Let it soften. Notice any resistance here in this pose. Where are you resisting? Can you soften a wee bit? Notice how it feels when you do, and you don't fall. Lower your knees down. Come back onto your hands. Press into your hands, and we'll curl right up into downward dog today. Hips reach towards the sky. Widen your feet. A nice, easy, soft base. Once again, be kind with your hands and your wrists. Maybe waggle your hips a wee bit. Walk the dog, bend one knee and then the other. Allow your head and neck to release completely. Press into your hands, press your hips back and up. Allow your head really to relax. Even in this upside down position, soften. Huge inhales and exhales. Draw your attention to your heart space here and ask yourself where you are resisting. What would happen if you softened some resistance to that? Doesn't mean you don't need to make a change, but maybe just in the softening, you'll see the path forward. What are you frustrated about? Can you soften into that? Soften into any tightness in the shoulders as you hang out here in downward dog. Send the breath to anything that needs to soften. Wiggle all 10 toes, soften them, lower them down. Press into your hands, reach your hips up high, 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 hips reach high and back. Send the breath to soften the backs of the legs here. Send the breath right into any tight muscle fiber. Let it out. 2 more breaths here in downward dog. Notice any resistance to hanging out here this long. Slowly walk your hands back towards your heels. Come into a forward fold. Bring your hands to your elbows. Release your head and neck. Lift up all 10 toes. Spread them wide. Lower them down. And soften in. Soften into the tightness in the back, perhaps the tightness in the back of the legs. Allow yourself to softly wiggle and explore what feels good, what needs attention. Perhaps sway your arms, shift your weight into your toes or your heels. Don't hold it tight. Be soft. Blow in the breeze. Shake your head yes and no. Soften your neck fully. Release your hand softly to the floor. Hang softly. Engage the belly with knees bent and roll up inch by inch by inch by inch. Your head will be the last to rise. Like pearls on a string, unroll it and let yourself arrive softly. No hurry to turn into some other position. Let things settle. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Lift up all 10 toes. Spread them wide. Grow those roots downward. Engage your knees, engage your thighs. Tuck your pelvis in and under. Engage your belly. Stack your spine, one vertebrae upon the other. Beautifully, elegantly, all the way up through your neck to the crown of your head. Take an inhale. And softly drop your shoulders. Let your palms open towards the front in an easeful Tadasana. Allow yourself to rest here a moment and just notice once again. Notice any resistance to anything. Might you benefit from softening? Whether it's literally the wind, a force of nature, or perhaps it's a person, perhaps it's a policy. Perhaps it's the days getting darker. It's interesting the things that we resist. What might happen if you softened that resistance? An invitation, you don't have to let it go. You don't have to love it. You don't have to accept it or allow it. And letting in this idea that all might not collapse if you soften. Noticing that as you stand here, you can soften and you're still upright. Inhale your arms out and up towards the sky. Right thumb and middle finger will grab the left wrist. Stretch tall, tall, tall as you can. Graceful, elegant. Left leg strong. Send your roots down through the left leg. Exhale, tip softly to the right side. Inhale, tug that left wrist towards the right. Stretch the whole left side body. Create some space here. Exhale, soften in, tug gently. And notice when you soften in, you don't tip. And in fact, if you force it on the inhale, more energy is needed. That spine has to grip. Inhale into everything. Exhale, soften, tip gently, stretch more, and use your belly here to support you, but soften. Come back to center, switch the clasp of your hands, right thumb and middle finger, grasp the left wrist, reach tall as you can, lengthen the whole right side body. Exhale, tip to the left, stretch the whole right side body, huge inhale. Exhale, tug that left wrist a little farther towards the left, soften in with care. So you're not over softening, you're protecting your back, you're protecting your belly. Exhale, release, tug it a tiny bit more. Come back to center. Open your arms out towards the sides, lower them down. Shrug your shoulders up, tight, 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 and soften. Once again, tight, tight, tight towards the sky and soften. Reach your arms out and up once again towards the sky. Palms come together, slight arch back, fold forward, forward fold. Inhale for a half lift. Back is straight. Reach the crown of your head towards the front. You're hinged at the waist. Exhale, lower down. Once again, inhale for a half lift. Spine is straight. Move softly. Crown of the head reaches forward, butt sticks out. Exhale, fold forward. Walk your hands forward back into downward dog. Inhale, raise your right leg towards the sky. Roll the right ankle in three-legged dog in one direction and then the other. Press the heel into the back wall. Press, 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 press. Exhale, gently bring your right foot between your hands. We're going to come into a high lunge. Wide base between the feet. Notice if you need to widen it. Notice if you need to wiggle the right toes forward. Inhale, both arms up towards the sky.
Exhale, sink in to the high lunge. Your back heel is likely off the earth. Both feet are jet line towards the front of the mat. Nothing's on an angle. If you are tippy, like I am today, apparently, relax into it softly, no judgment. Inhale, reach both arms up towards the sky once again. Exhale, soften in, sink into the left hip, into the left calf. Notice everything that opens up here. Inhale, reach your arms towards the sky. Tall, 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 stretch tall, lengthen. Exhale, softly sink in. Even with the wiggles and the wobbles here, be soft. Bring your hands to heart center. Press your thumbs into your sternum, palms together, elbows out wide. Straight your front knee. Exhale, bend and soften forward. Inhale, straight. Exhale, bend. Notice that as you soften into the movement, the balance is easier. Back heel is off the floor. Bend once again. Straight that front knee. Exhale, bend. We'll do 2 more. Notice all the shifts in energy and soften in each time. Straight the front knee. Exhale, bend. 1 more. Straight that front knee. And exhale, bend. Come back into the high lunge. Huge inhale here into the back of the ribs, back lower rib cage. Exhale, hinge at the waist, fold forward halfway, hook your left elbow onto your right thigh. Palms come together, come into a high lunge twist. Notice everything getting squunched up here and soften in. If this doesn't work, you can bring your left hand to the floor, right hand to the sky, come into an easy twist. But try to squunch it up. Just notice how it feels. Huge inhale and exhale. Let go of the resistance to all the squunchiness. Let go of the resistance to the tippiness or whatever your tightness you're feeling. Come back to center. Lower your hands to the inside of that right foot. Wiggle the right foot to the outer edge of the mat. Roll onto the outer edge of that foot. Drop your back knee down. We're going to come into lizard pose. Untuck the back toes. A pose where you have to soften. Right knee falls towards the outer edge of the mat. The sole of the foot lifts up and you're on your fists, or some of you will come down to your elbows. Notice what works for you. Your groin is open here. Soften into whatever there that you're holding tight. Huge inhale and an exhale. Not forcing anything. Noticing too, sometimes the resistance that we're holding to things we don't even realize, we grasp into the hips and the pelvic area. So just send love there and softness. And for some of you who I know hate this pose, soften into it and just notice you probably hate it because you need it. Because there's stuff there to let go of. So breathe into it. 1 more breath. Exhale, release. Come back flat onto the right foot. Wiggle the right hand to the outside of the right foot. Curl the back toes, hop them forward, hop into pyramid pose. A narrow pyramid pose today. So you'll hop your back foot forward. Inhale, straight your back, reach the crown of your head forward, a half lift and fold forward, soften over the right foot into a pyramid. Notice all of the sensations, all of the tension, soften into the tension. Notice that tiny micro adjustments help you do that. Shift your weight onto your toes. Lower the back heel, lift up your front toes. Lower them down. Inhale once again for that half lift, spine straight, crown of the head reaches forward. Notice the tightness and the tension that pops up. Exhale, soften in. Bring your left hand to the right ankle. Twist your right arm up towards the sky. Notice what tightness pops up. Roll that right wrist, soften. Coming into the twisted pyramid. Roll your wrist in the opposite direction.
Lower your right hand back to the floor, left hand comes back. Walk your hands forward, a handprint or two. Shift your weight into your right foot. We're going to raise our left foot, coming into a standing splits or half splits. Point the left toe wherever it is. Aim for hip height if that works for you. If you need blocks, you can do that. Some of you will be able to fold forward and reach that left leg way high into the sky. Let go of any resistance to where your body falls. Just enjoy it. Notice the resistance in the hips, the resistance to gravity. Perhaps your right foot and toes are resisting. Soften in here. Huge inhale. And exhale, let it go. One more breath. Press the left heel into the back wall. Slowly lower it down alongside the right foot. Come into a forward fold. And with softness, find a spot that works for you here. What forward fold release do your hips need? Allow your head and neck to release. Perhaps grasp your elbows. Perhaps let your hands rest lightly on the earth. Knees can be bent. Clasp your hands at your sacrum. Press your fists towards the back wall or the sky, elbows straight. Allow your hands to fall over the head and neck. Release your head and neck completely. Send some softness into the tightness in the front of the shoulders. Many, many, many of us have tightness there. Breathe into it. Know that the tightness is a bit of a message. Maybe your shoulders need some more movement. Maybe they need some more love or attention. Rather than resisting all the sensations here, send them some love, send them some softness. Notice when it lets go a wee bit, nothing terrible happens. You still stand here, upside down in all its glory. Breathe into that front shoulders once again. Allow your hands to release a tiny bit more forward, softening. Huge exhale. Letting the tightness go on the wind, letting the resistance float away, the frustrations. Envision it all melting with the melting in the front of the shoulders. One more breath here. Honoring, maybe we need a little extra time here. If you're noticing any tingles, send them some love or come out. If you wish, bend your left knee, straight your right, twist to the right. Enjoy that. Bend your right knee, straight your left, twist to the left. Enjoy that. Come back to center. Lower your hands to your sacrum. Release the clasp of your hands. Run your hands slowly down the backs of your thighs towards your heels, towards your feet. And with grace, engage your belly and roll up softly, inch by inch by inch by inch. Head will be the last to rise. With kindness for any kinks, tightness, areas that call out to you as you do this. And when you arrive, let yourself arrive with softness, no judgment for whatever turned up as you showed up here. Let the blood flow run down through your hands, to your toes, into the earth. Noticing perhaps how much more soft you are in this moment. Notice if the right side feels softer than the left. Huge inhale of softness, sending it everywhere. All the tight, tense messages you may be receiving here. Huge exhale, let it out. One more huge inhale. And this time, perhaps a forced exhale. Noticing how good that feels. And relax into the softness. Perhaps a softness you haven't felt all week. Enjoy it. Inhale your arms out and up towards the sky once again. Soft, slight arch back. A soft fold forward with kindness. No rush, no urgency. Enjoy the movement. Inhale for a half lift. Spine is straight, butt sticks out. Crown of the head reaches forward. You can even gaze forward if that feels good. If you wish, straighten your knees slightly. Notice what happens. Exhale softly, fold forward. Palms Connect to the earth, spread your fingers wide, step your feet back to plank and pause for a moment here. Everything engaged, strong, but also soft. Huge inhale into your chest here. Send the softness into everything that's tight in this spot. Breathe into it. Exhale, release. Drop your heels to the right. Hop open into a side plank because it's fun. Softly wiggle your fingers towards the sky. If you wish, drop your right hand into the left hip crease to open the right shoulder. Roll open and look up towards the sky. Reach your right arm back up towards the sky. Lower it over your right ear gracefully towards the front. Stretch the whole right side body. Soften into anything that's tight. Roll back to plank. Pause here. Everything engaged. Take a moment to be kind and reorganize. Take good care of your wrists. Drop your heels to the right. Reach your left hand towards the sky. Come into side plank on this side. Huge inhale. If it feels good, left fingertips into the right hip crease. Roll the left shoulder open. Gaze towards the sky if it works for your neck. If not, don't do it. Exhale, reach those left fingers, over the sky, to the sky. Huge inhale. Exhale, stretch the left hand over the left ear with grace. Lengthen the whole left side body, sending softness, kindness everywhere. And as things shake, soften in. Notice that when you do, you get more strength. You can stay a little longer. Reach the left hand towards the sky. Come back to plank. Tip forward onto your tiptoes, bend your knees, untuck your toes, roll down chaturanga towards the floor. Inhale for a low cobra, opening up the back body, heart shines forward, hands are light. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, once again, low cobra, heart shines forward. Lift up a wee bit higher, shoulders down and back. Send some softness into the lower back. Exhale, lower down. Curl your toes and lift up to downward dog. Take a moment here to arrive with kindness. Take good care of your wrists. Huge inhale into the back of the heart space. Creating room for your heart to fill more fully, softening it, relaxing a wee bit. Lift up high onto your tiptoes, as high as you can. Exhale, lower your heels down towards the floor. Enjoy the release. One breath here. Huge exhale, letting the tightness go. As we've softened, there's a lot to let go. Use the breath to send it out to the breeze. When we stop resisting, there's a lot we can gift to that wind that's blowing in our face. Use that wind to your advantage, sending the frustrations and letting it blow them away. Inhale, raise that left leg towards the sky, three-legged dog. Press the heel into the back wall. Roll the ankle in one direction and the other. If you have cranky ankles like me, send them love rather than resisting them and being mad at them. Send them love. My ankle is funky because I fell taking care of my niece a year and a half ago, and it's still cranky. But it came from a good thing. And so sending it love, it was trying to take very good care of her. Huge inhale. Exhale, gently bring your left foot between your hands. Come into a high lunge on this side. Widen your base to help. I almost said to make it easier, but notice that if you just widen it to make it work better or to help you or to make you stronger, it feels very different. Wiggle those toes forward to help you to stand taller and stronger. Tack your left hip back, right hip forward. Inhale, both arms up towards the sky, lengthen the side body. Exhale, soften into the left knee and the right front hip. Inhale, reach tall. Exhale, soften anything that's tight. And think of it as a softening rather than a stretch. How does that change your physical and your emotional experience of it? Inhale, reach your fingers tall. Lengthen the side body. Exhale, soften in, enjoy it.
Bring your hands to heart center. Straight the front knee and bend it. Inhale straight. Exhale, bend it. Inhale straight that front knee. Soften into the parts that tighten up as you try to find your balance here. Exhale, bend. Notice each time something different lets you know it's there. Pay attention. Practice softening. What you practice grows. Last one. Come back to the high lunge, hands at heart center. Engage your belly softly. Hinge at the waist. Back is flat. Hook your right elbow over the left knee and come into a lunge twist here, high lunge twist. Take a moment and notice if anything's calling out to you and soften it. Are your toes gripping, the ball of your foot gripping, your back, your calf gripping? Whatever is gripping or making noise, send the breath and soften. And notice what happens when you soften. You don't collapse. In fact, you often find ease and strength. This is true on the mat and off the mat. Huge inhale. And exhale once again. Come back to center. Lower your hands to the inside of the left foot. Walk the left foot to the outer edge of the mat. Drop your right knee, untuck your back toes. Come into lizard pose. You'll roll to the outer edge of that left foot and your groin will just open. Soften into this in whatever way this position feels good. Some of you will be lower, some of you will be higher. Play with it and notice your resistance to it. If you resist this pose, just breathe. Acknowledge that it brings things up for you and just soften into that. You don't have to change it. Just soften to the idea that that's what happens here. Soften into any pockets that are speaking to you the longer you're here. Breathe into them. With kindness and compassion, they're not a problem. They're not something to be fixed or worked on. That's why I love softening. One more breath, enjoying it. Walk your left foot back to the center. Bring your left hand to the outside, curl the back toes, lift up to a high lunge for a moment. Hop the back foot forward, probably about 2 feet. Come into pyramid pose. Tack your left hip back, right hip forward. Inhale for a half lift. Spine straight, back is flat, butt sticks out. Exhale, fold forward. Release over the left leg, soften. Huge breath into the back of the left leg. Softening whatever's there for you. Maybe it's muscle tightness, or maybe it's some other tightness message, or maybe it's both. Imagine the breath is like a firefly, just poking around, lighting things up. Have fun with it. Shift into your toes, onto your heels. Hip waggles back and straight. Come into a half lift once again. Exhale, fold forward. Bring your right foot back to meet the front into a forward fold. Engage your belly and slowly rise up to stand. Give yourself time to adjust. Notice any hurry you might be in and soften into the hurry. Maybe there's no urgency, letting the blood flow readjust exactly as it needs, not fighting gravity or our humanity. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, letting the light in. And we'll slowly transition to a seat. Bring the soles of your feet together, coming into butterfly pose. Grab your ankles, wiggle on your hips. Find those ischial spines, connect them downward. Tilt your pelvic bowl forward. Bring your heels slightly closer to you if that works for you. Stack your spine, puff your chest out, move your elbows out of the way so your arms are not in the way of your chest. Huge inhale right into the heart. Exhale, let it out. Sit here for a moment in this position, heels connecting towards your groin, and soften. Notice what needs to soften. Close your eyes. Inhale and let it out. One more big inhale. And exhale, let it out. Giving yourself a moment to scan and see where there's still tightness, where there's still resistance. Each of us is different. We carry it in different spots. So have we found that spot, or is there still something, somewhere to poke, somewhere to shine the flashlight? And wherever that is, send the breath and soften a tiny bit. Nothing to release, let go of, push, just soften. Relax your hands, release your ankles, spread them wide into a wide angle pose. Rock onto your sit bones once again. You can wiggle your torso if you need to. Bring your hands in front of you. Flex your ankles, flex your toes, fold forward gently, soften forward. Back is flat, hinge once again. Heart is shining forward. Soften into the backs of the legs here. Allow your heart to shine forward as you soften. Huge inhale and exhale. Spread your toes wide, wide, wide. Fold forward a tiny bit more. One more breath. One more. Hinge forward, bend your elbows, soften forward. Noticing that your heart can shine forward as you soften, even in the face of all of this unusual tightness, perhaps. Use the breath to soften everywhere. Even when things feel really twangy, soften into them. A tiny soften can let the light in and give you some wiggle room to find or see something that you hadn't seen before. Slowly walk your hands back to your groin, sit up tall. Bring your hands lovingly to the outer edges of your thighs, slide them forward. Refine your sit bones, raise your arms parallel with your legs, bend your knees gently if you need, and we'll roll down like pearls on a string, unrolling. Use your belly to guide you. Softly, not gripping, don't grip in the hip flexors, don't grip in your belly. Softly see if you can relax in and roll down with grace until you arrive on the floor, or the beach, or the backyard, whatever it is. And soften in as you arrive there. What does that feel like? Flip your palms open to the sky softly. Allow your toes to fall towards the outer edge of the mat softly. Relax your face softly. Bend your knees. Bring your heels towards your chest. Flip your palms open. Ground into your feet and your palms. Lift your hips up towards the sky and softly release the back body. You can shimmy your shoulders underneath you. Reach your hips towards the sky. Knees connect together. A soft, easy bridge. Releasing the tension. Untuck your shoulders. Roll down softly. Bring your knees into your chest. Hands come to the shins. Rock side to side. Massage the back. Enjoy it. Lower your feet to the floor. Bring the soles of your feet to the outer edge of the mat, knees together. Raise your arms over your head into an easy cactus shape. Drop your knees to the right softly. Softly soften that front left psoas. Breathe into it and soften.
Bring your knees back to center. Feet still apart. Drop your knees to the left. Soften the right psoas. Breathe into it. 2 soft, full breaths here. 1 more. Bring your knees back to center. Readjust your hips. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart. Come into Supta Baddha Konasana. Bring your hands, one hand to heart, one hand to belly. And soften into this for a moment. Soften your knees, soften your hips. Notice your hand resting gently on your belly and on your heart. And take a listen. Any messages that in this soft moment are willing to be seen. When we soften, we can often see things that weren't accessible before, or feel things, or hear things. Giving yourself a moment to notice. Huge inhale. And exhale, let it out. Bring your hands to the outer edge of your thighs. Draw them towards one another and stretch your legs long towards the front of the mat. Allow your toes to fall to the outer edge of the mat. Stretch your arms long, palms open towards the sky, about 6 inches from your waist. We'll come into Shavasana, our final resting pose. The most impactful pose. The pose of integration. The pose where you do fully soften for a few moments and enjoy what happens. So your body is primed to soften. Take in a huge inhale and then exhale, sinking into softness everywhere for a few moments, fully relaxed and soft. Nothing to do. Nothing to worry about. If the thoughts float in, let them go. Just be and enjoy. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Softly wiggle your toes and your fingers and anything else that needs wiggling. Reach your arms long above and your toes long in front. Take a huge, loving inhale. Softly releasing on the exhale. Gently bring your knees into your chest and roll over to whatever side feels good. And pause. Taking a moment to enjoy soft. Noticing how this softness can be helpful, how it can provide more ease, more flow, and make space to see and notice and hear. There's wisdom in softness.
Press your hands into the earth and slowly come up to a comfortable seat where we began. Find your sit bones, tilt them forward, stack your spine nice and tall, reach the crown of your head towards the sky. Take in an inhale and an exhale, release. And bring a hand softly to your heart and the other hand atop, checking in. Bring your hands to heart center, thumbs pressed into the sternum, palms together. Thank you all so much for practicing with me. May you all have a week with less frustration, less resistance, less judgment, less tightness, and more softness.